Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out a Wooyoung Lemon Drop fan cam because I just have to, okay? I just have to watch him perform this in the all-white outfit with blonde hair. Thank you for your understanding. Even just this opening pose. That's a lot for you to just have, and nothing has happened yet. The hands in the pocket. Anyway, moving on. He's an intense look already. Sorry, Captain walked through. Whoa, good activation on that move. Ah, wait. Good activation on that movement. And then he smirked. And I was like, he's a cutie pie, but also a little bit dangerous. And there's a whole thing, okay? I don't know what my brain does with Wooyoung, but it's a problem. The like lean? Hands still in the pocket? The nod really is a lot, isn't it? Oh my god, we couldn't find him. He slid so fast we couldn't find him for a second. Covered a lot of ground there. I forgot about the blush. I didn't. I blocked it out. Wow, he covers a lot of ground to get like all the way over to that side of the formation, and he's in the back too, so like part of that is you're gonna have to go behind everything, right? But I like that he's putting a little bit of extra into his movements because we have these really wide movements happening with the body shapes, and he's making sure he's filling up the space behind them. Like he moves stage right and then all the way over to stage left. That was good, a little heel move. I'm sorry. we're going back for completely unrelated reasons for the heel move, obviously. That's the only reason we're going back. Look, he chose to wear that outfit. Just a second. Just a second. Just so I make sure I... Okay. Whoa. I like the little step over, but I like that he's a little bit grungier with the movements, especially when we're going into like Mingi's part, right? Because it has a little bit of a shift in the tone of the song, and it's a little bit more of an aggressive delivery, right? Because we're getting like the rap as opposed to the kind of floaty vocals we were getting at the beginning, right? So I like that we're getting a bunch of these little quicker choreo movements and details with this like heel movement that we're getting, hitting the like claps and that percussion beat coming through. And then when we get to Mingi's part where he's like walking through the formation, I like that we're getting a little bit grungier of those arm movements. They're not quite as precise as some of the other ones. We're getting some of the shoulder activation happening into it. You can even see like his facial expression shifting, right? So he has like a smile before, and then you see the like shift into something like a little bit more leaning into that like grungier style with the choreo. It's like it's a little bit less precise. I love the little step over on the focus on me. He covers a lot of ground. Dang, he was like all the way. We started stage right, crossed all the way over stage left pretty much. He was almost on the edge of the formation after he was already moving from like stage right to center. And now when he's like passing in front of formation, like I was saying before, you pass behind, you have to circle a little bit. So you're covering sometimes a little bit more ground in terms of steps because you're going behind someone. And just like logistically, you have to make sure that you're not getting in their way because they're like the focal point of that part of the performance. It can kind of change depending on the venue, how big is the stage, right? There's a bunch of logistical things to that. He's like crossing through like the front of the formation. He's going like all the way from the edge of the formation, stage left, over stage right. And he does it like super quickly. Like he's all the way on the edge of the stage. He does it in 3 steps. Dang, sorry, I just watched the Artist of the Month performance, and that already was like, he's a performer on a level like I don't think I fully processed. Knowing he was good is not the same as like focusing on him being a performer one at a time, right? Part of the reason I like doing these like birthday kind of focus videos is getting to see each of the individual members a lot more as like their own performers as opposed to like how do they work in the dynamic of the group. Obviously he's like sliding, they're like really big steps that he's doing to cover that ground. He does it in 3 though, which means that like he's covering that ground again, like I said, quickly. He's got like a few beats to make that work. He steps over for the one like little choreography moment, which is like 1 step, and then he's over 2 more to get all the way to the other side of the formation, which again, depending on the venue, depending on the side of the size of the stage, that's a lot of ground to cover, my guy. He turns too, and then walks back. That was a little groove there. Wait, the facial expressions. I love that he put a little bit more animated into his facial expressions. It's cute. Look, we went from like that whole section, right? We're just getting to the first chorus. How many times has he gone all the way across the stage? We went stage right to left, then left back to right, then he went back to left right afterwards. He literally just circled the stage, then went back to stage right, did his solo part, crossed through to the center, and then now he's back on stage left. This is the first chorus. That's a lot of ground. Jesus. Why? Why is he on the edge of the formation all the time? It's not even, sometimes he's center-ish, right? Like we have a center moment with the end of his solo there. Is it because he could cover that ground? Dang. I like the little hop there too at the point. I love the way they have like, sorry. His smile. We gotta go back for the smiles. They're so good. But I love the way that they hit these moves for that chorus, like the claps and everything with these like elbows and like knees and everything. There's something almost like locked in some of it, right? It's a little bit more like rigid than like some of the more like floatier movements that they can have in their choreo. And I think that it just works really well for the bounce of this song. It just makes it really fun. Right, you got like the knees bent for that move. Elbows here. He's so cute though. Sir! We just locked into some of the personality there. Just one more. Full step over. He's smooth with some of these step over movements as well. Unnecessary, sir. Even just the... Can we talk about the step over is still on that beat? And he's almost like lazy about it. He's just, I'm not the focal point. Walking off to the side. I like it. I like it just like taking a moment, as he should. He's covered so much ground. Like he gives that character moment, intentionally redirecting the focus. Because he has the back turned. And we're just kind of staying in the groove. Oh my god, for the kick. I know we're not focusing on Captain for this one, but the kick deserves a little bit of attention. That's a fun little groove there too. I like that one move too. Ooh, it was a good little like, wait, the little like movement, right? The little like movement on the percussion that's happening, but also the little like level change there with that clean stop on it. he got some. Okay, well, I was gonna talk about something else, and then I got distracted by Dongho, and now we have Seonghwa. Shall not be distracted. We are focusing on Wooyoung. Clean stops, and he's got some good isolations too. Like I was saying, there's something almost like chunky about some of the movements. There's something more like rigid in some of them, because leading with a move that's like on the elbow or the knee is like a little bit less fluid than letting that movement, like a lot of fluid movements, you'll start with the shoulder and it'll extend all the way down to the wrist and fingers and everything. Whereas having that movement led with the elbows or the knees is like the middle of your limbs, which is already giving it a little bit more of a, again, like chunky feeling to it, or like aggressive sometimes movement to it. Like it lends a little bit to some of those like hard stops that they're doing on those percussion movements. And I think that it just adds a nice bounce to it. There's literally, they're putting this little bounce in the way that they're like stepping through the formations, right? Every time that Wooyoung is moving from different parts of the formation, if he's not like putting like a spin into it, or like it's a slide, or it's walking on beat, even when he was walking back from the formation during Hanjung's part, that was still like that double step on the beat that he was moving. So I think that it's really fun to have that kind of bounce where like every movement that he's doing is being on that beat, so it's emphasizing some of that kind of pop catchier bounce that he has to like the whole performance. Even that's like a little bit of a skip to his movement. Okay, vocal. See right there, we got a literal jump, and he's putting his knees up out of like sync with each other, and we get the spin. Like there's a bounce to his whole performance, which I think is really fun. I love that little like shoulder. Wait, sorry. He smiled, and I had to take a second. The little pass up there. Again, his smile is so cute, but I like that little interaction. See, and that's on beat. We'll step over. I know they all do it, but like, well, that's unfair. No, that's, hold on. It's unfair for you to have those three all lined up looking like that, doing a body roll back. Unacceptable for you to make us suffer through that. Am I gonna watch it again? Maybe. Look, I'm just gonna need a moment. That's a lot. I'm just gonna stick here for a second. Science, don't worry about it. Just once more, I'll move on. Yeah, catch your breath. I'd be tired. Looking like that, though. Like a whole performance, and he gets to look like that afterwards. Take 5. Like, it's like we're just gonna focus on him. You can see he's locked in, too. Locked in, waiting for the cut, and then you can see the break. We're done? Cool. Like, he's still in performance mode right here. He's waiting for the cue of, we're cutting the cameras, and then you see his smile come through. He's like, oh, good. I can actually gasp for breath now. That was so good, though. Like I said, I knew that he was a great performer. I think that it's different when I get to focus in on him and, like, really get to see what he's capable of. I've been falling in love more and more with his voice, just going through more like recent comeback things. I think that he's just really found the right pocket for his voice earlier on in things, whether or not we were going to hear a lot of him anyway, but I digress. But I feel like they weren't entirely sure how to work his voice into the dynamic of it. And I think that he's figured out how best not only to place his voice, like the placement of his sound, but he's matured as a vocalist. He understands his voice a lot more, and I think that they understand how to work him in the songs a lot better now. But getting to see him as a performer, like the dancing and everything, like it's so great to see his facial expressions. I love the way that he is able to switch between some of that like performance mode and then some of these more like character moments. He's really good at picking what specific moment am I going to emphasize by ratcheting up the expressions for this moment. And I think that's really a talent to know, like, where do you place that? How do you improvise that a lot of the time in a performance? Like, yeah, some of it's thought out beforehand and like muscle memory takes over as you practice and practice something. But sometimes you just have to accommodate for the fact that what audience are you performing for? What energy are you getting from the audience while you're performing? And again, just his movements. Like, I think it's so interesting to see some of his styling, even in this, like in comparison to some of them. Like I was saying, there's a bit of a rigidness to this overall performance, but I was noticing when we had Seonghwa front and center for part of it, that Seonghwa puts like a little bit more of that movement into his like wrist and his hands. He is a little bit less rigid about it, and that's just like a tiny detail with like his style of dancing in comparison to Wooyoung's, where like he's keeping that kind of rigid hand movement. He's not letting the movement fully go down to like his fingers, even though he can. He's choosing to not let that happen in this one, because having that more rigid like bounce hitting on those beats, it makes those movements sell that percussion beat a lot better for like his style to have that more like rigid hand movement. Does that make sense? It's like a tiniest little detail. Like they're all having more of a rigid hand formation for that movement, but it's just interesting that like even in that comparison back to back, I'm like seeing them next to each other. I'm like, oh, Seonghwa does it a little bit more than Wooyoung does. And I don't know if I would have noticed that detail if it wasn't like literally focusing on the two of them like right next to each other. So I think that's fascinating. Like the way that he puts in certain like energy into his movements, the energy like burst of that like kind of energy and rigidness and power to his movements in direct contrast to like those character moments where he loosens up his movements a little bit. We get more of the facial expressions and he's not putting as much emphasis into his moves, because the point of that moment is focus on the facial expressions, right? Focus on the character he's portraying. So good. And so much ground he covered. Like, again, just always on the edge of the formation and just like constantly going back and forth on the stage. I'm exhausted just watching him. Worth it. Look, did I go rogue a little bit with this one and just choose my own fan cam? Yes. Okay. No one asked for this, but I needed to watch it for personal reasons, and I think I was right, okay? He was so good in this, and I think it's interesting with this one too, because it's not the most intense choreo I've seen from them, right? It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to have this bounce to it. There are certain moments that are supposed to be easy for people to join in with, right? For fans to be able to dance along and do videos and stuff of them dancing and stuff, right? That's the whole point of this song, is to have a little bit more of a laid back feeling to the choreography, but I think that makes it interesting to see how he's going to perform it, right? As someone who has more of like an energetic way of performing, a bit more power to him, and to see how he takes something that might be on the easier side of their choreo. I couldn't do it. Unlikely. I don't have the coordination, okay? But on the easier end of their choreography, and what do you add to it to make it a performance? And I think that's choosing when he's going to ramp up his facial expressions, putting a little bit more power into some of the dance moves. He's got some good grooves in this too, in contrast to when he's doing some of those lock movements, those hard stops. And just, he covers so much ground, and he does it like in a few steps on beat. Like, I can't get over the fact that he crossed the stage like 4 times before the first chorus came in. That's wild. And one of them he crossed in front of the formation when he wasn't the focal point. Like, he did it again when he was like doing his little solo part before the first chorus. Like that, he did all of that movement and then he had to sing. Wild. Couldn't do it. There was a time when I was trained to be able to do that, and it's not anymore. So a lot of respect for him being able to do that much and then be like, I'm gonna do my vocal now. And it's like it's a light vocal, right? He does not have a belting moment there, so he's got to manage his breath support there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this place to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to miss next time I post an ateez reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.